Have you ever really stopped to think about your belly button? I mean, it's more than just a scar, right? It's this tiny little mark, but it's a physical reminder of our connection to our mothers, a link that stretches way, way back through all of our ancestors. So today, we're going to dive into the untold story of the belly button.
What if that little overlooked scar you have? What if it tells the entire story of life on Earth? Seriously, it's a story that kicks off with ancient viruses, takes us through 9 months of some of the most mind-blowing biological engineering you can imagine, and get this, it might even point to a future where humans are born without one. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Your belly button, it's your first scar. That's really all it is. It's the little mark that gets left behind after the umbilical cord is cut. You know, that lifeline that connected you to your mom's placenta? Yeah. After about a week or so, the little stump that's left just poof, falls off, and boom, you've got a permanent reminder of where it all began.
All right, let's settle the great debate. Are you an innie or an outie? It's probably the first thing people wonder about belly buttons. And believe it or not, it's not even close to a 50-50 split. Turns out about 90% of us are rocking an innie, you know, where the scar tissue goes inward. That leaves just about 10% of people with the protruding outie.
Now, I bet a lot of you have heard this one. The shape of your belly button, whether it's an innie or an outie, is all about how the doctor handled things at birth, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that's a total myth. Complete nonsense. It has absolutely nothing to do with how the cord was cut or clamped. The truth, it's all about how your own body decided to heal.
So, if it's not the doctor, what is it? Well, for an innie, it's pretty straightforward. The scar tissue from that little cord stump just attaches itself pretty deep down to your abs. For an outie, there are a few things that could be going on. Sometimes there's just less room between the skin and the muscle wall. Or maybe a little extra skin grew onto the cord. And in some cases, it's caused by a super mild umbilical hernia. Basically, a tiny bit of intestine just pokes through the muscle right there, pushing the navel out.
Okay, so that's the what. But to get to the why, we have to go way, way back. I'm talking millions of years. This isn't just your story anymore. This is an evolutionary epic that started long before humans were even a thing.
Think about it. Our super distant ancestors, they were all about eggs, you know, with those yolk sacs packed with all the nutrients. But then, something incredible happened. Around 160 million years ago, the very first placental mammals came up with this revolutionary new plan, an internal life support system, a placenta. This completely changed the game, paving the way for live birth. And it was such a successful strategy that, well, it's how almost all of us mammals do it today.
And here's where the story takes a turn for the truly wild. The whole evolution of pregnancy, it wasn't some slow, gradual thing. It was basically a biological hack. And guess what powered it? Ancient viruses. No, I'm not kidding. These things called jumping genes, which are literally just leftover bits of viral DNA that snuck into our ancestors' genomes, they're the ones that helped build the genetic instruction manual for the placenta.
This viral hack was brilliant because it solved a huge problem. Think about it. A fetus is genetically different from its mother. So why doesn't her immune system go into attack mode? Well, that's the magic of those ancient viral genes. They helped create special genes in the uterus that basically calm the immune system down. They're like little bouncers telling the mother's body, hey, this one's with us, not a threat. And that's what allows a baby to grow safely.
So, with that amazing evolutionary blueprint in place, let's zoom in. Let's look at the incredible piece of biological hardware that actually forms inside the womb. The umbilical cord itself. The temporary organ that, is the whole reason you have a belly button in the first place.
You can think of the umbilical cord as the ultimate two-way highway. It's got one big lane coming in, that's the vein. It's like the delivery truck, bringing in all the good stuff, oxygenated, nutrient-packed blood from the placenta. And then you have two smaller lanes going out. Those are the arteries. They're the waste disposal crew, hauling all the deoxygenated blood and metabolic junk away.
And how this thing develops is just amazing. It starts forming around week 5, from the leftovers of that ancient yolk sac we talked about. But then, and this is a seriously weird fact, between weeks 7 and 12, the baby's own intestines actually move into the umbilical cord. Why? Because there's just not enough space in its tiny little body yet. They move back in around week 12. And then, by the second trimester, the cord is really in its groove, stretching out to be about the same length as the fetus.
But wait a minute. You've got a baby floating around in there, twisting and turning. How does this crucial lifeline not get tied in a knot or squeezed shut? Well, that's thanks to the unsung hero of pregnancy, this amazing stuff called Wharton's jelly. It's basically a gelatinous supergoo that packs itself all around the blood vessels. It's the perfect cushion, making sure that no matter how much of a gymnast you were in the womb, that supply line stayed wide open.
And if you want to understand just how vital this cord is, just look at the numbers. At 20 weeks, about halfway through, the cord is moving about 35 milliliters of blood every minute, okay? But by 40 weeks, right before birth, that number skyrockets to 240 milliliters a minute. That's a massive jump, and it really shows you how much that baby is relying on this lifeline in those final weeks.
Okay, so the baby's born, the cord is cut, job done. But that's not the end of the story, because the little scar that's left behind, your belly button, is about to begin a totally surprising second life. It becomes this little hidden ecosystem, a tiny jungle, absolutely teeming with life.
So, let me ask you, have you ever really thought about what's living in your navel? And I don't mean that little piece of lint from your t-shirt. I'm talking about actual living things. The answer might just blow your mind.
2,368, that's the number. In a study of just 60 people, the Belly Button Biodiversity Project found nearly 2,400 unique species of bacteria living in their navels. They literally compared the biodiversity to a rainforest in your belly button.
Okay, now before you run off to grab the hand sanitizer, hold on. This is actually a good thing. The average person hosts around 67 different species, and this little hidden ecosystem is doing you a favor. It helps protect you from nasty germs and keeps your immune system in good working order. And the reason it thrives? Well, it's a microbial hideaway. We just kind of leave it alone.
But the story of the umbilical cord doesn't actually end at birth. Not anymore. Its modern legacy is changing medicine as we speak. And if we look even further down the road, well, new tech might just make the belly button obsolete.
You see, that cord tissue we used to just throw away, turns out it's an incredible resource. That Wharton's jelly we talked about, it is packed with powerful stem cells. These are like master cells that can turn into all sorts of other things: bone, cartilage, even nerve cells. So you can imagine why researchers are so excited about using them to treat everything from arthritis to autoimmune diseases.
But what if we took it a step further? What if we could replicate the entire 9-month process outside the human body? That's the idea behind something called ectogenesis. And yeah, it is straight out of science fiction. We're talking about a fetus developing in a high-tech pod, a kind of artificial womb that provides everything it needs.
And there are really two ways this could go. First, there's partial ectogenesis. This is probably just a decade or so away, and the idea is to help extremely premature babies finish developing. It would hook right into the baby's own umbilical cord so they'd still end up with a belly button. But then there's full ectogenesis. We're talking conception to birth entirely inside a machine. That would probably require some kind of synthetic interface and could lead to the very first generation of humans without a navel.
And that would be a profound shift. Because the belly button isn't just a scar, is it? It's this powerful symbol of the biological bond between a mother and her child. If you replace that with a machine interface, well, it forces us to ask some really deep questions about what it means to be a parent and what it even means to be born.
Which leaves us with one last big question to ponder. Your belly button is the physical proof of your first, most fundamental connection to another human being. So what happens to our very idea of that connection? What happens to our own identity when we are no longer born, but grown?
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.